All right, everyone, by now it's clear that the world is shifting away from relying on the US dollar as the reserve currency. There are numerous reasons for this transition. First, the colossal US debt that seems impossible to repay. Then, the relentless deficit spending that continues to exacerbate the situation. Additionally, countries like Russia, China, and Iran face severe financial sanctions, leaving them with little choice but to de-dollarize. This move is reshaping global trade, enabling more countries to step away from the current financial system.
How have sanctions, do you think, changed the dollar's place in the world?
You know, to use the dollar as a tool of foreign policy struggle is one of the biggest strategic mistakes made by the US political leadership. But the fact that the United States applies restrictive measures to certain countries, such as placing restrictions on transactions, freezing assets, etc., causes grave concern and sends a signal to the whole world. Do you even realize what is going on or not? Does anyone in the United States realize this? What are you doing? You are cutting yourself off.
The issue here is US foreign policy. You might be an ally today, but tomorrow you could find yourself as an adversary. Even close allies like Germany aren't completely immune. Just 2 weeks ago, Treasury Secretary Yellen warned German banks to comply with sanctions against Russia or face potential sanctions themselves. The message was clear: if you don't comply, we might cut off your access to dollars. This is a significant and terrifying warning because losing access would devastate both the banks and the German economy. Russia is the primary target today, but China is not far behind. Officials like Blinken, Sullivan, and Yellen have all issued threats to Chinese banks. For countries heavily trading with China, this raises a crucial question: what happens if China gets sanctioned? How do they continue trading? This brings us to a significant update. Saudi Arabia has officially joined the digital currency system led by China and the Bank for International Settlements. With the Saudis joining mBridge, the project has reached the minimum viable product stage and will be fully operational soon. The central banks of China, Hong Kong, Thailand, the UAE, and now Saudi Arabia are participating. This system is essentially an anti-dollar currency network led by China. Neither the Federal Reserve nor the ECB is involved. This alternative system allows countries to conduct cross-border transactions and trade outside the Western financial framework. It provides a way to bypass Western banks and the SWIFT system if the US imposes sanctions, offering a significant shift in global financial dynamics. Saudi Arabia is the second largest oil supplier to China, and it's well known that future oil demand will be centered around Asia, especially among BRICS nations. Since 2013, the Saudis have been selling the majority of their oil to Asian countries, with Asia accounting for 70% of Saudi exports last year. In contrast, the West purchases only 3% of Saudi Arabia's oil. This creates a peculiar situation where the smallest customer somehow dictates whether you can buy or sell to your biggest market. It's both ironic and nonsensical. This is why Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman MBS is exploring transactions in currencies outside the Western financial system. Saudi Arabia wants to build alternatives in anticipation of potential conflicts. Secretary Blinken made this abundantly clear during his trip to Beijing.
Russia would struggle to sustain its assault on Ukraine without China's support. In my meetings with NATO allies earlier this month, and with our G7 partners just last week, I heard that same message. Fueling Russia's defense industrial base not only threatens Ukrainian security, it threatens European security. Beijing cannot achieve better relations with Europe while supporting the greatest threat to European security since the end of the Cold War. As we've told China for some time, ensuring transatlantic security is a core U.S. interest. In our discussions today, I made clear that if China does not address this problem, we will.
If China or Asia gets sanctioned by the US, trade could grind to a halt, devastating the Saudi economy because shipments priced in dollars wouldn't get paid. China could also be kicked out of the SWIFT system. Saudi Arabia needs a platform to transact outside of this Western architecture. Whether the trade is conducted in US dollars or Chinese yuan doesn't matter for now. The key is to keep the money flowing. Saudi Arabia joining mBridge is a significant game changer. It will scale up commodity trade on a platform outside of US dollars. More importantly, mBridge transactions can use the code that China's digital yuan is built on, ensuring total secrecy. This will create a private ledger hidden from the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, or Jerome Powell, making it a giant black box for the US. They would have to track every single ship leaving Saudi Arabia, and even if they identify the buyer, they can't stop the transactions. That's the power of blockchain. Trade and settlement are done peer-to-peer, from the Saudi Central Bank to the People's Bank of China directly. with no possible interference unless espionage is involved. Transactions between central banks will be done entirely using digital tokens in digital currencies like the yuan and reals. This means central bank to central bank to central bank trade will be completely confidential. Thailand is fully embracing the mBridge project and is also looking to join BRICS, indicating a strategic shift. According to reports, mBridge can reduce cross-border transfer times from up to 5 days to just a few seconds. This is crucial because it enables near-instant settlements without relying on US entities, ensuring that transactions can continue regardless of weekends, holidays, or time zones in New York City. With mBridge, trade will proceed without SWIFT or US banks, allowing countries to continue buying and selling goods among themselves. The total trade volume among mBridge participants is nearly $600 billion, and with Saudi Arabia joining, this could easily reach $1 trillion. This shift presents a significant challenge to the dominance of the dollar, offering substantial benefits for the global south but posing problems for Western powers. The digital system's practical advantages are considerable. For instance, back in November, China and Saudi Arabia signed a currency swap line worth 50 billion yuan or 26 billion rial, equivalent to around $7 billion USD. This agreement allows Saudi Arabia to use the Chinese yuan for their imports by exchanging their currency, bypassing the need for the reserve currency in trade with China. The mBridge system further promotes the internationalization of the yuan, allowing China to operate under the radar of the US in complete secrecy. Countries, especially during a currency crisis, will likely adopt this system. Instead of selling dollars on the open market to stabilize their currency, they can acquire yuan to fund their imports. China can issue emergency swap lines instantly, without needing to sign new agreements or notify Janet Yellen, maintaining complete discretion. Since the Ukraine conflict began, countries have increasingly tapped into China's swap lines, with usage doubling from 60 billion to 120 billion yuan and likely even higher today. Imagine the growth potential when countries can discreetly exchange local currencies for yuan to import goods or commodities from Russia. This usage could easily double or triple again. Central banks can thus protect themselves from sanctions by reducing dependency on the dollar, all without the US even being aware. For the G7, the news keeps getting worse. Turkey is growing closer to the global south, and their foreign minister recently made a surprising announcement: Turkey wants to join BRICS. Russia has welcomed this interest, and it will be on the agenda at the upcoming summit in October. This is yet another sign that countries, including NATO allies, are seeking ways to hedge their bets. They see the writing on the wall, the potential eventual default of the dollar. Even before that, Turkey might become a victim of US sanctions, which is not impossible given its significant business dealings with Russia. Turkey is the largest buyer of Russian oil products, including diesel, gasoline, and jet fuel, accounting for 18% of the market demand. This substantial trade could be jeopardized if the West decides to impose sanctions, potentially cutting Turkish banks and companies off from SWIFT and freezing their dollar holdings. Such a move could trigger a major currency crisis for Turkey. Turning to BRICS is a strategic, even existential, move for Turkey, as the majority of its imports come from Moscow and Beijing. Russia is currently Turkey's biggest trading partner, and much of Turkey's supply of commodities and goods comes from the global south and BRICS nations. Given Turkey's urgent inflation crisis, with CPI about to hit 75%, President Erdogan is highly motivated to find ways to fund imports. Joining BRICS could lead to a larger currency swap line with China, allowing Turkey to exchange lira for the more valuable yuan to buy Chinese imports, which would help ease inflationary pressures. This move would be beneficial for Turkey and BRICS, especially China, as the yuan becomes more of an international trading currency. Last year, Turkey's central bank confirmed that their swap agreement with China had increased by another 23 billion yuan. Joining BRICS would likely increase this line of credit further. With the mBridge system mentioned earlier, many non-dollar transactions could be conducted in secret, further chipping away at the dollar's dominance. The global south, especially Russia and China, is reshaping global trade. Two significant developments are happening simultaneously. First, a new financial system is being built, leveraging the digital yuan and mBridge blockchains. This new system is designed to facilitate transactions away from SWIFT, a Western platform, to create sanction-proof bilateral trade between countries. The desire to move away from SWIFT is strong. Second, the process of de-dollarization is accelerating. Turkey joining BRICS and China providing currency swap lines are all part of this broader strategy. The ultimate goal is to gradually diminish the dominance of the US dollar as the reserve currency. While this will be a slow process, the momentum is shifting rapidly. Currently, the dollar may still be the dominant currency, but its supremacy is increasingly under threat. As the dollar's dominance begins to erode, This will have significant implications for the US economy. As always, let me know your thoughts. Do you think more countries will join China's digital currency system? Who else might want to join BRICS? Share your opinions in the comments below. Stay safe, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Thank you for watching.